Assalamualaikum, my name is Nalena Safa binti Muhammad Nasir 2019272 and I'm going to introduce to you about SDG number 12, Ensure Sustainable Consumption and Production Patterns. Sustainable Consumption and Production (SCP) is about getting more done with less. It's also about divorcing economic growth from environmental damage, improving resource efficiency, and encouraging people to live more sustainably. We are consuming more resources than ever before, far exceeding the planet's generation potential. Meanwhile, waste and pollution are increasing and the wealth divide is rising. All aspects of health, education, equity, and empowerment are harmed. SCP, meanwhile, has the potential to make a significant contribution to poverty reduction and the transition to low-carbon and green economies. To do that, SCP necessitates collaboration across a wide range of stakeholders as well as across sectors in all countries. SCP is a systemic transformation method that takes a comprehensive approach. It is organized around three basic goals. First, removing the link between environmental degradation and economic growth. It is all about doing more goods and services are delivered with less impact on resource use, environmental deterioration, waste, and pollution. Second, using the life cycle approach. This is about improving the resource sustainability and resource efficiency in both production and consuming phases of the life cycles, which include resource extraction, intermediate input production, marketing, distribution, usage, waste disposal, and reuse of products and services. Third, opportunity sizing and leapfrogging for underdeveloped countries. SCP helps to eradicate poverty and meet the United Nations Millennium Development Goals (MDGs). SCP provide the potential for developing countries such as the formation of new markets, the production of green and decent jobs, and more efficient welfare generating natural resource management. It is a chance to leapfrog to more resource efficient, environmentally sound, and competitive technologies, keeping the wasteful, polluting, and ultimately expensive stages of development that most industrialized countries go through.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Yasmin Hanani binti Muhammad Arifin 2014784. The consumption of materials made from natural resources is currently on the rise. Why SDG 12 is important? Sustainable consumption and production aims to produce more and better goods with less resources. The idea is to generate net welfare gains from economic activities by reducing resource use, degradation, and pollution along the whole life cycle, while increasing the quality of life. Sustainable development will be achieved not only by growing our economies, but minimizing waste in the process of doing so. Sustainable consumption and production is one of the most cost-efficient and effective ways to achieve economic development, reduce impacts on the environment, and advance human well-being. SDG 12 is linked to nearly all other goals, notably SDGs 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 13, 14, and 15. Achieving SCP will deliver not only SDG 12 but also contribute to the achievements of almost all of the SDGs, directly or indirectly. The relationship between SCP and other SDGs is reinforced by the targets in SDG 4 and 8 that link education and economic growth, respectively, to the achievement of SCP. Responsible consumption and production is also contribute to reducing the inequalities and to a transition towards a green economy. According to the United Nations, less than 3% of the world's water is drinkable, yet we are increasingly polluting our waterways. One of the causes of waterway pollution is soot and soil from the construction sites and bank erosion on farms. Mankind is polluting faster than the nature can purify and recycle it in rivers and lakes. We crave a healthy lifestyle, yet our vehicle usage is projected to increase by 40% in the 2020s. We have good intention, however we need more action. It is therefore necessary to promote global and urgent action to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Inani Nadira, metric number 2016942, going to present about issues in SDG 12. I had found 4 issues in this SDG. First issue is the increased number of plastic waste. Plastic account for a fifth of global waste and are coming under increasing environmental scrutiny. From 1950 to 2015, more than 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic were produced, and the majority have been used only once. From the graph shown below, over 2/3 of all plastic ever made have been discarded, and only 6% of plastic have ever been recycled. The COVID-19 pandemic also has boosted plastic consumption. Single-use plastics such as masks, personal protective equipment kits, and sanitizer bottles have been deemed essential to managing the spread of the disease. In addition, with lockdown and social distancing measures in many countries, households worldwide have restored to deliveries of food, package, and other necessity is another cause of increase in plastic waste. Instead, in Thailand, plastic waste has increased from 1,500 tons a day to approximately 6,300 because of sharp increase in food delivery. In conclusion, plastic are widely used throughout the country, but rarely recycled is the cause of plastic waste. Second issue is the raw materials grew as emerging countries become more industrialized. From the graph here, we can see total material used such as metal, fossil fuels, biomass, and mineral is expected to increase about 50% by 2030 and by 75% by 2060, which to 167 million metric tons. From the graph here, we can see from 2000 to 2010, the material footprint per GDP of developed region dropped as a result of greater efficiency in industrial process. As in developing countries industrialized, the material footprint of the regions as a whole grew over this 10-year period. From the graph here, we can see the details on the material footprint of biomass, fossil fuels, metal, and non-metallic materials and non-metallic mineral showed the largest increase, rising from 5.3 to 6.9 kilograms per unit of GDP. Component represents almost half the material footprint of developing countries. In brief, without targeted structural and technological policies to curb resource consumption and promote recycling, this global material use will expand unabated. The third issue for this SDG is consumption of natural resources decline in developed regions while increasing in the most developing regions. We can read from this graph that domestic material consumption per capita declined slightly in developed region from 17.5 metric tons per capita in 2000 to 15.3 metric tons per capita in 2010. However, it remains 72% higher than the value for developing regions, which stood at 8.9 metric tons per capita in 2010. The dramatic rise in the consumption per capita of raw material in Asia, particularly Eastern Asia, during this period is primarily due to rapid industrialization. Thus, SDG 12 calls for sustainable management and efficient use of natural resources. Okay, last issue for this SDG is increasing numbers of mining and metals waste. While mining products produce the material essential we use in the modern society and contained in the product we use every day, it also generates the large quantities of waste. Mining has contributed to many of the challenges that the SDG is trying to address, including ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns. On the other hand, recovery and reuse of metals from products are on increase for some metals. For example, 75% of all aluminium ever produced is still in use. Now, we want to look how to overcome all of the issues that I had mentioned.
Assalamualaikum, I'm Muhammad Nur Hilmi bin Nur Salihin, metric number 2017047, going to present how to overcome the issues in SDG 12. There are 4 issues that have been discussed from our previous presenter. First issue is the increase in plastic waste. To overcome this issue, we need to prioritize reusable products because it is good for the environment and can save money. For example, bring reusable bags instead of using plastic bags when grocery shopping. Besides that, we can transform single-use plastic to multi-use plastics. It is because single-use plastic take thousands of years to decompose. For instance, we can use plastic containers for food storage and use water bottles as plastic planters to grow plants. Second issue is the use of raw materials for industrial growth. Using raw materials more efficiently can bring significant cost savings and environmental benefits. Thus, the solution is we need to use materials planning to determine the requirements of raw materials to implement production. For example, many companies use traditional material resource planning (MRP) systems to help calculate the requirements for the current product mix. Next issue is that consumption of natural resources decline in developed regions. To overcome this issue, we need to use more renewable energy because once renewable energy is used, they become available again. For example, using wind energy can generate electricity by turning a wind turbine. Other than that, we need to make electricity used more efficiently. Since natural resources are used to generate electricity, electricity needs to be used more efficiently. For example, we can save some of that electricity by simply turning things off and unplugging them when not in use. Last issue is increasing numbers of mining and metals waste. While mining produces the material essential for modern society, it also generates large quantities of waste. The solution is we need to minimize resource use and waste. We need to minimize the production of waste and undertake audits to drive performance improvements. Understand the value chain of the materials to help prevent inappropriate use of metals by customers.
Okay, so next is I'm going to discuss on how the issues and SDG related to materials in this subject. Before that, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Aiman Hakimi bin Nozaham. My metric number is 2018073. So the first one is wood and timber. How it relates is that the issues where the consumption of natural resources decline in developed regions while increasing in most developing regions. We know that wood and timber are considered as one of the natural resources. Not just that, wood and timber has many uses in many things. They can be used in furniture, as papers, or construction. Since it has great use, the demand had been really high for wood and timber. The increasing global demand for low-cost timber products supports a multi-billion-dollar business of illegal and sustainable logging in forests worldwide. This causes illegal deforestation occurs in many regions and countries. Consumption of tropical timber by US and other industrial countries also play a significant role in tropical deforestation. The deforestation issues goes against our goals in sustainability of consumption and production. The next point is the production of metal. The issues where the increase of mining and metals waste directly related to this subject, specifically the topic metals. As we are aware, metals has been a great material for a lot of things and had been used since ages for transportation, industrial, construction, and daily usage. The higher the consumption for daily uses, the higher the demand for production of the materials. Even though metal is classified as non-hazardous waste and recyclable, yet the waste is still large in quantities. The issues become problem when the waste exceeds the recycle rate. Metals is still getting recycled every day to balance the consumption and production, but the consumption is too high that the metal waste exceed the quote. This goes against of our SDG goals, that is to ensure the sustainable and consumption of production.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faris bin Muhammad Najib and my metric number is 2013967. And in this part, I'm going to discuss about contribution. What can we do as an IIM student to contribute the principle of this SDG 12, which is sustainability of consumption and production? There are three contributions that we are going to discuss. The first one is we need to practice 3R. What is 3R? 3R is reduce, reuse, and recycle. We need to reduce the usage of paper and start switching from using paper to anything such as tablet, gadget, or iPad. We already live in modern era, so there is no excuse in order to save environment. The main reason why we need to do this because we can save more trees since we know that paper are come from tree. The second contribution as student that we can contribute is plant more tree. Although this step seems trivial, but it brings a lucrative effect. So the first way is plant trees in your background or land. This is the easiest way we can do. The other one is volunteer with local organizations such as Jabatan Perhutanan Malaysia that plant trees and restore degraded ecosystems. Plant trees have many benefits and can produce products for our use such as timber and rubber. Timber demand has been increasing among entrepreneurs in recent time. Timber for construction is one of the many forest products used around the world. It is used in building both large and small because have a strength to weight ratio. Plant tree also an investment for our community and for future generation. Trees and their derivative products have been used by society around the world and for thousands of years. The last one is spread awareness. What is spread awareness? Spread awareness is spread knowledge about a certain topic with the aim of reaching the largest number of people possible. There are many ways to perform spread awareness. The easiest one is through social media. Social media is a powerful tool for spreading awareness. In this era, everything in our fingertips. There are many platforms are created nowadays such as Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. By using this platform, we can spread awareness by sharing stories, narrative, photo, providing facts and data in consumable ways, which engage an audience by helping them understand. The second one is make a campaign. For example, in this case, we can make a campaign about the importance about reduce, reuse and recycle. This campaign will make people realize about it. And the last one is volunteer and participate in some event. This one is quite difficult, but as long you have more time, I guess there is no problem to perform this one. I think that's all from me. Thank you.